Welcome back, reefers. Today we're going to be talking about green boring algae, not the kind that puts you to sleep, but the kind that kills your corals. And I'm also going to show you what happened when our auto top-off unit failed. Hang on, here we go. Last fall we bought our very first corals and we were pretty excited about it. We got fairly lucky. Everything is still alive with the exception of this one. It was a plating chalice coral and we thought we were getting a pretty good deal on it. What we didn't realize is that there was a green boring algae already inside the skeleton of this coral. It took us a little while, but as soon as we got it in the tank and started observing it, we could see that the green on this was slowly spreading. We wondered why the shop hadn't told us that there was something wrong with it, but maybe they didn't know either. This doesn't seem to be a super common ailment for corals, and we did find just one small reference to it on a website. But we were unlucky. We tried to save as much of it as we could. We tried to frag off pieces of it that weren't yet infected, but even though they weren't visible to the eye, it seems like it had already covered all of the inside of the coral. If you turned it upside down, you could see the green was spreading like an ooze underneath it, and it was just getting darker and darker from the point of origin. So this coral did not survive, but I wanted to make everybody aware to look out for this. We thought that maybe it was just part of the coloring of the coral, and honestly we didn't look too closely at it when we bought it. We thought that if it was for sale at the local store, then it must be fine, right? Yeah, right. Our next recent bit of excitement happened with our auto top-off unit. We were getting strange little blips on the radar from the apex and warnings that were coming through in text saying that the salinity was off. They were happening fairly intermittently, and every time that went off I would test the water in the tank and everything seemed spot on. Finally, on the 16th, it actually failed for real, and you can see where an entire ATO reservoir was dumped into the sump in the same area where the probe is, and how long it's taken it to evaporate back up to its correct salinity level. I had thought that these blips were just a failure on the apex probe part. It wouldn't be the first time in history that these probes had acted a little strangely. If we had paid attention in this case, we would have noticed something was actually wrong with the ATO. If you look closely, you can see that the connector piece where the hose actually goes down into the little float valve is what broke. The plastic piece that screws down in is actually the part that failed. And I'm not sure that we would have noticed this right away, especially since everything else about the float valve seemed like it was fine and everything was in place fairly securely. This is the first time I've ever really been thankful for the volume of this tank. This is a 90-gallon tank in the display plus another approximately 30 gallons in the sump, so the amount of water that was dumped from the ATO did not have a huge impact on the actual salinity of the tank. In the area where the probes exist, there was a pretty wild fluctuation, but by the time it reached the main tank and everything was mixed back in together, it really didn't hurt it that much. This recent ATO failure on the Red Sea reefer has me wondering if the ATO that we created for this temporary quarantine tank could also be a potential problem. The way we have this set up, the water line and the float valve are fairly close to the top of the tank, within about a half an inch. I think we might need to do a test to see if this ATO were ever to fail. Would it be able to hold all of the water that's in this reservoir without overflowing the tank? We're not entirely confident that the answer is things will be a-okay, so I think we're going to have to put a little bit less water in this reservoir for now, and then at some point do a test on this to make sure that it's safe. Well, that's it for today, guys. Watch out for those ATOs, watch out for green boring algae, and let me know in the comments if you've ever seen that before and what we can do to stop it. We'll see you next time. Where'd you go? There you are. Yeah, still carrying it. You don't want anybody else to have it?